ShartimusPrime, ShartimusPrime. Reading comics, toys are hella sick, hella whacking it, taking bad hits, taking bad shit. Subscribe. Hey, what's up, you guys? ShartimusPrime here at San Diego Comic-Con 2023 at the Hasbro Marvel booth with Dwight Stahl. How you doing, Dwight?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
We got Dan Yoon.
Yo, what's up, everyone?
And we got Ryan Ting.
What's up, Shartimus?
Are you guys having a good Comic-Con or what? This has been a fun one?
Fantastic, man. It's just great to be back for me.
Excellent. Oh, I know. Yeah, we missed you last year. That's why we had you on the Jumbotron over there. I remember that.
Robot.
Yeah, yeah. You're visiting.
Oh.
Yeah, your secret's out now. I want to know, how do you guys feel about the reactions from the most recent reveals from yesterday?
Oh, great. Everything seemed really positive. The panel went really well. We got to have debut an entire new wave and talk about X-Men 97 a little bit,
right,
and then throw a few odd curveballs out there, which is always something fun to try to do, you know?
Excellent. Did it seem like the crowd had a positive response to what you guys had out there? How did you feel about the reaction?
Yeah, I think the biggest pop was probably for Justice. I don't know if you guys...
I thought it was Blade, but Justice was pretty popular,
I thought
too.
it was the teasers, but it's all right.
Yeah, those teases. And then there's... I was kind of hoping to see some more HasLab info at the panel, but there's no... I don't think you discussed any HasLab information at all. Are we going to see some...
I mean, I think our other sister-brother brand over there, Star Wars, had some HasLab news, so we didn't want to take away any shine from them.
This Comic-Con was for the Star Wars HasLab, the Ghost, so go back that.
Go back that.
It's off to an awesome start, so it's looking good for them. We're happy.
All right, okay. You don't want to step on any toes.
You just gotta be a little bit patient.
Gotcha. All right. We'll stay tuned. Now, I'm really happy that you're completing the Squadron Supreme team very quickly. I'm curious to know, out of the teams that you've started already, which teams would you like to see completed sooner than later?
Well, with Justice reveal, we're getting really close to one variation of the New Warriors. So I'd like to get that one wrapped up next, and I think that would be my pick.
I want the X-Force team to kind of be completed. I know there's one specific character that people have been clamoring about, so that's the one that I'm trying to get done, you know?
And similarly, the X-Factor, the 90s X-Factor team also has kind of one character who might have had a head but needs the full body treatment. Yeah.
All right, we've got some teases for you guys right there. And I wanted to also ask, and this is something that I've really enjoyed about the line, is that you guys are adding new points of articulation. Here we go. I really love the toe joints.
Okay.
And I actually have my Black Widow figure, or one of my two Black Widow figures in there. The lower ab crunch, I love it, man. That awesome. Figure is so fun. Me and Century Productions taking all kinds of pictures of it. But then at the same time, you have some other figures like the 97 Storm. We've had several Storm figures, and this one doesn't have the new added articulation to it. So I'm kind of curious, why do we see the new articulation come in, but then it's it comes to a stop. It's like you're pouring the glass and then you stop. I want more Diet Coke.
Well, if we were going to put that type of articulation into every figure, there would be a higher cost for every figure across the line. You know, when you have more parts, more pieces, more labor, more time, more deco, and every time you break a figure into more pieces, all of those things start going up. So if the entire line was all that kind of stuff, the price would be even higher for the entire line. So by using pieces that we have in our library and being able to go back and forth and pick and choose where we can lean into do something really special from time to time and really celebrate a fun new thing like Black Widow, we get a chance to do that. We've already retooled the Black Widow's torso to be a smooth version, so we will have a smooth, super articulated female body going forward that we'll be able to get into cycle. But it's like any ball team. Everybody's not the same. Everybody's got a role, and they got a place on the field, a reason to play. So that's kind of what the toy lines are like. There's different bodies for different reasons, and we use the best we have available to us every time. But this line is so big and so impressive and so well supported by the fans, we can't use those bodies every time, or we'd be tooling all of them new every time. And that's just not an affordable business model for us.
We need to explain capacity and tooling and how that is, because you're good at that.
So for a figure like Storm, or when it's smooth bodied, right? Why do some figures still have pins? It does to everything Dwight said, but it's also a capacity concern, because if we're running, a Black Widow and however many to hit a certain on-shelf date to do another character at that same time, you need to dupe that tooling. So we either need to plan it out so things come out at different stages, or to Dwight's point, you're tooling up everything new from scratch. And we know everyone loves the pinless joints. We try to get them out as much as we can. So when there is a figure that maybe is, partially pinless, or it's kind of using that older buck, it is not because we forgot. It is not because we're not trying, right? It's because of all these other factors. And I would just remind everyone that not all toy lines are fully pinless. So, right, I think get some criticism for when newer figures have pins, but that's because I think we are at the forefront of the fully pinless, and we're slowly working towards more. You see that new Wolverine from X-Men 97, fully pinless. It kind of looks similar. So we're looking to make those upgrades where we can. And so, we appreciate your guys' patience, and we are doing our best to make sure that, the best figures are coming out on that basis, on all the characters and all the movies and shows and everything we need to constantly be activating.
Think of it this way, Russ. If we had, we're going to do some pretend numbers. If we are currently delivering you 100 classic figures a year of all the A through Z level tier characters, right?
Okay.
And you like that, right? You liked getting a lot of diversity and a lot
love new
of
characters.
Yeah. If we were going to make every one of those things all super articulated, all new, you would only get 30 figures for the year.
Okay.
70 figures go away.
Okay. Make them all. Yeah, I would rather have quality over quantity.
But when you do that, you need to have those big tiers that not just appeal to you, but appeal to everybody in the world. So no more Crystars, no more Power Princesses, no more.
Because they need to sell 3 times the amount if you're making a third of the figures, right? Yeah. In Dwight's math.
So
Dwight's math.
It's just Dwight's math. This is just BS
That's
math.
Not just including comic figures now.
Yeah.
So we need to also make sure that we're making MCU figures too. So then you're going to cut out Blade. You're going to cut out Daredevil. You're going to cut out the animated line.
Yeah. So all of those. So that breadth that you just said you like is gone. So by doing it this way, by using the pieces that we have in our massive library, we're allowed to give you things, and they may not be perfect for you, but it allows us to represent all these amazing characters from all the years in some fashion. And hopefully someday, if they are popular enough, if they get put into the MCU or a Disney Plus show and they get a second life, we can maybe revisit them in a different way once their pop culture jumps up, right? Because 15 years ago, characters like Yelena or Talos, a lot of people didn't know who those characters were, right? And now they're in major shows, and all of a sudden, they have fan followings. People love, the actors or the characters, and they're finding out about them, and that allows us to do more and dive a little bit deeper and have a lot more fun with the line.
So what I'm hearing is the diehard comic fans that want the old school comic characters got to take a back seat to the MCU fans. That's not what you're saying. I get what you're saying, though. You have a lot that has to go around. I imagine it would be awesome to see a way to get more than just to get more of that stuff. I'm trying to digest what you're just throwing at me at the same time. But
to be clear, though, what you said about the MCU is not what we. No, this is good. This is good to have a good conversation. It's like I didn't even bring the MCU into it because the MCU is handled the exact same way. The Killmonger in that case, that would be considered MCU, right?
Right.
That's not all new.
Right.
The Goliath, that would be considered MCU. That's not all new.
Right.
Nick Fury, not all new. Talos, not all new. It's like we still use the same philosophies that we use on the classic side of the business as on the theatrical side of the business. If it's something crazy like Hydra Stomper, we had nothing in our library, and that was really cool. So that needed to be celebrated and make it something special and new.
It's a stringent process, more so for the MCU when we use existing parts, because it does need to be as close to on model as possible. But there is kind of reuse there. I think if we're throwing around analogies, it's not a light switch. It's not a off-on. You're either pinless, everything pinless, or not pinless. It's a dimmer switch, and we have to adjust it as possible. Sometimes you can go full brightness, Black Widow, mostly new, and then sometimes it's more towards the middle. But we are gradually phasing out things like Pizza Spidey, Bucky Cap, I think you'll start to see fewer and fewer, but again, they don't just shut off completely. We need to kind of balance everything throughout the year.
Yeah, and I know you were saying as a joke, but we are not putting comic people or comic characters in the back seat, right? So,
No, you're obviously not. It was a joke. Yeah.
so I just want to be very, very, very clear.
That whole Night's
All right,
Wave is all well, with one video game figure, but it's all comic stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, is that Storm figure going to cost significantly less than the Black Widow figure that I just bought because
really
it's
go
not
into like the character's costs from and you know this too, that we can't really
Well,
get
no, not
into
the
it.
cost from your factory or anything like that, but like on the shelf, like the pricing that a customer pays for the Storm should be a bit less than what the Black Widow is, because the Black Widow has so much more going on than the Storm, right? And I feel like sometimes it seems like they cost the same, and one's got all the cool deeds and the other one doesn't, and that's where I get confused in my head, because if you're charging $15 for that, to me that makes sense in my head. I'm like, oh, she's got way less stuff. And I'm paying $30 for Black Widow. I'm like, it makes sense to me. She's got all the accessories. She's got all the stuff I asked for.
It's
so
more.
that's where,
That's fair. It's more about an even keel. It's like, the cost of some figures are higher, the cost of some figures are lower. But what we're targeting is a nice balanced look to maintain our portfolio where we need it to be. It's all about keeping that nice slow ride like this, and that allows us to do something a little bit more excessive. But then as the water comes down, you have to find some way to balancing it. So it's all about balance.
So it's okay. So it's like a pool, right? It's kind of like that. Like your resources are dispersed, and you try to bring the pricing. Okay,
It's also
like an even
just,
keel.
if you realistically think from a retailer perspective, you have to have certain price points. The more price points you have, the more complexities there are. So this one can't cost $21.33, and this one costs $24.57. It's like $24.99 is the 6-inch kind of standard price point for not only Legends but also other figures. And then everyone has some deluxes. But even when you start to get into that, we try to minimize the number of different price points, because it just kind of would get too complicated from bringing all the retailers on board as well, who would have to I think is it shoe leather cost? Is that the business term? Like the more menus you have to print over and over again, the more expensive it is just for any business. So we have to try to narrow things down. And yes, figures that generally come with more accessories or a higher price point, we try to justify that, and it's all balancing it out.
Okay, all right, that makes sense to me. Can I ask you? So I try to avoid questions about specific characters.
Okay.
But one figure that I would love to see you guys make, that I'm just surprised that you haven't done so in this type of fashion, is a classic blue and red Spider-Man figure with sculpted in cobweb patterns and all the articulation and double jointed toes. That's one thing that I've personally been wanting to see for a long time. You've made some really good Spider-Man figures recently. I have them. Mm-hmm. And thank you for the reveal on the first appearance Spider-Man. Very cool of you to do. I appreciate that. But I would also appreciate the classic Spider-Man with the cobweb pattern. I know you could reuse that mold. That's not tooling. Like the Shocker, I don't know what else you're going to use the tooling on Shocker for again in the future. That looks like a one and done kind of thing. I don't know of any variations of the Shocker, but you have unique tooling for the Shocker. I'm surprised that there's no unique tooling with cobweb patterns for the Spider-Man. Just wondering if you can give me some insight on that, and just trying to wrap my head around why.
Well, normally when we do, are you asking for raised or recessed web lines?
To be honest with you, either one, but I don't know. I think, does that make a difference on the production side of it big time? Like, does that make
Big
it
time.
huge? Wow. So if they're raised, is that a lot more costly? If they're recessed, I would still be happy if they're recessed.
It's also deco.
It's deco. So one thing
The
you keep
paint,
saying
yeah.
is tooling and tooling and tooling, which is a very good point. But I think what you're not mentioning is deco. And Spider-Man, in order for him to be developed, has a lot of paint deco, which has a lot of value too as well. So whenever we make a Spider-Man, we have to consider the deco, especially on the hands.
Hands, that's the thing people don't forget. Go for it.
Go for it.
So Spider-Man, it would look awkward if his hands didn't have the web lines. So all the way around, and so it's ironic that Spider-Man is the most recognizable, strongest character, but he also requires the most amount of deco. But I think that's a fair point, and it's something to add to our list, because we've done MCU versions now, like with this 3-pack. It's like, yeah, a raised decoed Spider-Man with all the accessories. It's gonna be a deluxe. Just throwing it out there, right? Because
It won't be
cost.
$24.99.
If it's $30, you got all the articulation, keeping the toes, and you get a proper neck joint that can move all the way up, something like that, I wouldn't mind dropping $30 on that. Like with the Black Widow, I have no complaints about the Black Widow. I had a little thing with the right leg, but I know that's a factory thing because I bought 2 and it wasn't on the second one. But that's a fair price for me as a consumer. I'm okay with that. So, cool to see that the idea is being considered, right? Because I think, and you could re-release that. And now, like from a scale of 1 to 10, I feel like the steel is like a 10, right? So without giving me too much detail here, just so I could wrap my head around this stuff, if the steel is at around a 10, where would you put paint deco on that scale?
Like and Russ, you're not a rookie to this, but we can't go into detail of like to this manner about.
I thought I was being general here with my own 1 to 10 scale.
But like we've been talking about pricing a lot with this, so I just want to make sure that you know that we are not supposed to go into detail about this.
No, I don't want details. I know. I don't.
But you're trying to get it from a relative perspective.
So we'll just say,
I just want to understand. I'm trying to understand.
Everything goes into everything. Is the long and short.
Okay, they all cost a lot of money. Okay, all right, cool. So, just really quick, and the last question: where would you say people in general have the most positive reaction with the line, and where would you say people have the most negative reaction with the line?
It's hard for me to say because that's a very subjective question.
It is,
but
but
every person that walks in the booth has a different praise or criticism. So that's the magic and challenge of this massive Marvel line and the love from these incredible fans that come out here. It's like every person that you talk to throughout the course of a day, you're going to get 100 different things that they love, and you're going to get a few dozen things that are very different that they don't like. And it's all those different little bits and pieces. It's like this. The likeness of this figure is phenomenal. Oh my God, the deco you're using in these faces is next level, better than anything I've ever seen for this price, across so many different places. And then other people are like, oh man, I wish I had more hands, I wish there were more accessories, or I wish this figure wasn't pinless. So it's just a very, very subjective thing, and that's fine. We come to these shows because we love getting a chance to interact with you and all of your fans and all of our fans of these amazing lines, because by coming to the shows and having conversations with you and all of them every year, after all of these years, you're constantly finding new things that, sparks an interesting thought or an interesting theme that we might not have been thinking about. And to find out that it's on the mind of the fans is it's great, because we take that information back and we sit down with our full teams and we're like, all right, man, we have those breakdowns, right? All right, what do we learn this week? And in a couple of weeks we'll have that. We'll sit down and we're like, all right, guys, it's like post-mortem. What were the highs and the lows? What can we do to make this line better, to keep it fresh and to keep it kicking ass for another 21 years.
Yeah, to that point, 20 years. Like, we are so thankful for the fans. I've been working on the brand since 2015, Dwight even longer, and even since then we're doing so many more items a year, and that's because of the great fan support, and we're always trying to get better. I think an overall point I'd like to make is that everyone's opinion about anything, whether it's love it or hate it, is valid to you, because that's your opinion, and you should be empowered to feel and say whatever you want. But I think just keep in mind that when you start saying, oh, well, these are clearly the facts, this should or shouldn't be the case, it's like, well, unless you're on the production side, you honestly don't really know all the facts. So we respect and value your opinions, and we do want to hear that, and we take it back, and we do try to get better every year.
Cool. So like, what would you say the things that people get most excited for in general, that
characters, teams, new innovations from deco to articulation? Like, everyone's kind of loves that Black Widow. I think the Iron Man Model 1 from the Avengers 60th was a pretty good example of what the awesome team can do when given kind of a blank canvas. Every couple of times a year, when you can do that, like, all new figure from scratch. I really like that Iron Man figure.
That's a good Iron Man figure. And then the things that you see people most disappointed or most complaining about, what's that?
Whatever they want to get most disappointed about, we'll take it. We're here for it.
All right. And Dan, what do you see people getting most excited for and people getting the least excited for?
Yeah, I mean, I think these guys already hit on everything mostly, but yeah, whatever. It's really subjective, really, like Ryan was saying. So it's just because you're the loudest person doesn't mean that is what everybody's also thinking too. But we respect everybody's opinion, and like everybody was saying, like, the fans are the most important. So we take in their feedback all the time, and
And
that's what I'm constantly trying to do, is get a general idea of what people like and don't like, and then come to you guys with, questions that I know that they want to hear.
Share the opinion, share the love. Just keep it civil. It's like this community. We're making amazing toys. It's like we're making action figures that look better than action figures have ever looked in the history of the businesses.
Right.
It's like, this is something to be celebrated and enjoyed. And if something's not for you, that's okay. We'll survive. You can move on to the next one. But just, spread the love. If keep the hate to yourselves, man. It's like this will make this thing just
everything. Just a little patience, because when we do those live streams and it's like, here's an MCU wave, it's like, where are the comic figures? And then when we do a comic figures, it's like, where's the MCU figures? And it's like, guys, look at the whole year. In our panel yesterday, animation, MCU, comic, including major comic characters and obscure comic characters. So it's all about trying to please as many of you all as we can.
So they're really trying to make you guys happy, is what they're saying. I think they're trying to make us happy. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. But I think they care about what we think, right?
Absolutely.
All right, you guys.
Well, most, you know who you are, not that guy, but everybody else.
Not that one guy typing right now.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate you guys getting into the behind-the-scenes stuff. I know you don't like talking about it so much, but it's cool to get a bit of an insight into it. I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much again. Dwight, Ryan, Dan, thank you. Stay tuned for more San Diego Comic-Con 2023.
Take it easy, buddy.
Hey, new ShartimusPrime videos. Hey, you should click one. Yeah, click on one of them. Or subscribe if you haven't. Your face.